Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and it's time to start the year with a bit of bolt action. So let's get into this. Hello everybody, yeah, so new year and it's time to get back into playing and painting some bolt action. Now from memory, I believe my last sort of bolt action video was possibly June last year when I finished my my Deutsche Africa Corps, and since then bolt action content has been a bit thin on the ground for me. I've been dabbling in a few other projects, other systems, and a few people have asked me, you know, would I be bringing bolt action back to the channel? And yes, I certainly am. That's what I plan to do over the foreseeable future, we'll call it that. I have been working on bits and pieces, just nothing much to really show on the channel, so I thought I'd start the year off with what I've been up to bolt action wise. Now I've actually been sprucing up 2 existing armies. Now there is method to this madness. I know sometimes people say you should never revisit painted armies, paint them and leave them, and I did it a while back with my Germans, and I'm doing it again now. But like I said, there is method for this madness. And the first one is going to be my updated French army for bolt action. Now, like many people, the reason behind the redoing or the repainting of my early war French bolt action army is because of this. Now this is the eagerly awaited and now released plastic French infantry box by Warlord Games. People are waiting years for this to come out, and I was certainly one of them. And my copy is currently winging its way to me. Now the reason I was looking forward to this is my French bolt action army is quite old, and it was put together using an old deal that Warlord used to have many moons ago, called Build an Army, where you could select an army and certain options for a set price. And this is how I came about to have my my French army, all metal aside from a resin vehicle, and it used to feature quite well in a few videos right at the birth of this channel. It was featured back then. But I've not really looked at it for a while, and when the plastic box was announced, I was like, yes, this is a prime time for me to revisit my French. And I thought I'd have to replace everything, but no, actually as you can see, the support options here have stood up really well. The infantry, not so much. I wasn't really a fan of the metal infantry, but these plastics look brilliant. So I thought, well, rather than go the whole hog and replace everything, I'll repurpose, repaint the support options, and just incorporate the plastic French infantry into my current army, and I'll save some time. And so that's what I've done. So what I'm going to do is show you the support options that I've been sort of repainting and rebasing. So let's start with a bit of a zoom here. We're going to start off with this. So this is the medium mortar team. So this is a metal kit, and as you can see, it stood up quite well. It's quite an old kit, but I think it still works. It's really nice sculpt, some really good character to it. You know, the guys clapping their hands over their ears from the sounds of the mortar. So what exactly have I done to these models? Well, basically my painting has changed and improved over the past 5 years, and they were really quite dark when I initially painted these. So I've chosen to give them a bit of a brighter colour scheme with more pronounced highlights. Now the actual paints I've used, because people have asked me, you know, how I've painted these, and I had to go and actually look back myself because I had completely forgotten. Now the base is Vallejo green brown. Brown wash, and then highlighted with green, brown and Vallejo khaki. So that's for the great coats and the trousers and the puttees. And for the greens are all Vallejo bronze green, and the browns there on the webbing and the packs, etc., is Vallejo saddle brown. So quite simple to paint. Another thing I've done is I purposely made them with better basing. The old ones are quite dull, really drab. I'm using the Battle of France theatre selector to put this to army together. So I wanted sort of countryside, and it gave me an opportunity to break out the really bright tufts and clump foliage, to give them some bases that really stand out. And I think that it really does enhance the miniatures. When I started working here, I was like, yeah, these look a million times better than how they did before. So with the medium mortar, I added a spotter. He's actually a spare miniature from one of the artillery sets. I got a spare in there, so I put him to good use, and he was recruited to be a spotter for the medium mortar. Again, painted exactly the same way, and it's been repainted the same way as well. You know, more pronounced highlights. I've also worked on the flesh a bit more and give him a better base. It's amazing what an afternoon's work on a few units can really improve them. But that is the spotter. Up next is the medium machine gun. Now it's not a unit I tend to use in my bolt action armies. I think they look good from a painting and modelling perspective. I don't tend to use them in game though, because not really my thing. But we have one here, and this is again another metal kit. Again, it's stood up quite well. So another older kit. But I think it's a nice little vignette there. Again, the painting was exactly the same as the medium mortar. You know, brighter highlights on the uniform and the helmet and the webbing, and then a much better base. More of a countrified base, verdant green countryside. And again, I just think it makes the unit pop a bit more. These are all still available when you buy the French Army box. I believe these are still in there. So yeah, they're still fulfilling a purpose. These are ones that I got years ago. Though. That's my medium machine gun team. Up next is a sniper team. So hunker down behind a hedge or some bushes with lots of tufts and other bits of greenery. Actually, I think this is a really sweet model. Actually, I think it's again full of character. Some sniper figures can look quite, I don't know, but there's just something lacking. But I just think this works. I think it's really good. Again, base. I've added it onto the same base rather than individual bases for each one. Many years ago, I went through a phase of basing things on incredibly large bases. I've moved on since then to be a bit more pragmatic and sensible. But that's my sniper. From my French early war. Now the other thing is with the French army, one of the things you get a free artillery piece. So I got these 275mm guns here. So this is the first one. As you can see, it's a really nice kit. This. To tell you what, there's some weight on this. There's a fair bit of metal on this base. As you can see, painted exactly the same way. I've attempted my own version of the French camouflage on the gun shield there. Again, mounted it on an oval MDF base and whacked on the greenery all over it. Again, that's a weighty base, that. So that's the first one. Yeah, you pay your points for that, but the second one you get free. So here we go with the second one. Again, attempted the camouflage on the front. Nice little. I really enjoyed working. These were on a much bigger bases, idiot bases I'm going to call them, because they were just completely impractical for the tabletop. So they were promptly ripped off and added to sort of more sensible looking bases. It's just a right size for creating that, again, that sort of vignette diorama type thing. But yeah, really enjoyed those. Again, very weighty. They're not going to be moving around the tabletop. So that's my two artillery pieces. So I also had a few vehicles as well. So the first is this. This is a Panhard armoured car. Let's get the focus. Come on. There we go. So this is a resin kit with a metal wheels and gun. Really quite nice though. we go, just an armoured car. I've never actually used this in games of bolt action, never got to use it, so hopefully that'll be remedied at some point this year. This is the Panhard 78, I believe. Really nice kit. Again, that was part of the deal from many years ago. And the last thing I worked on was this, which is the Char B1. Now, I wanted to attempt some of the more colourful camouflage, but I didn't trust my painting skills to let me down. So I just went with sort of a nice green camouflage over it. That's all been dry brushed on using makeup brushes, just to give it that faded sort of faded look. This is one of the plastic kits from Warlord. But it made me realise that I don't really have to add much to this army at all to make it a viable list. Plus it gave me an excuse to work on tanks, which I always love doing anyway. So there's plenty of weathering pigments on there, weathering, and based as always. So that's the Char B1. There we go. So that is the French. Now, what do we need to add to complete this? So, I've got a medic, the HQ unit, and a forward observer still on the shelf, waiting to be funkied up like these guys. Once they're done, and my plastic infantry's here, I'm going to work on those. Three squads of 10. Bulk this army out to around about the 1500 point mark. I might add some transports just to get closer. But yeah, it's been really good working on these. It's been a lot of fun. And again, a really interesting army, early war. I've never actually really played much early war bolt action, so I'm really looking forward to that. So what else have I been working on? Well, let me show you exactly what I've been working on. And again, it's more funkying up of an existing army. Now the next army that's come for a bit of a makeover is, as you can tell, my Australians. Now the reason for this is late last year we had the awesome big Rich Clark from Two Fat Lardies. Now we had Rich on the Plastic Crap podcast, and we were talking all things gaming, and he happened to mention that he was currently working on the Far East supplement for Chain of Command. And that jogged my brain, and it made me remember that I actually have an Australian army. Again, featured very early on in the channel's history, and I put it away in a box about 4 years ago, and it's not seen the light of day since. So after the podcast, I dug it out, and I'd forgotten how much of a nice looking army it really was. Again, it was suffering from the same as my French. It was an old painting style. I'd painted it a few years back. Wasn't happy with the basing. It just generally needed a bit of oomph about it. So that's what I decided to do. Now, very similar to my French, what I've done is it's just been given sharper highlights and better basing, but the main difference is I won't be adding to this army. This is fully done, fully completed. Once this has all been funkied up, I'm going to make sure it gets a few games in against my friends Imperial Japanese. As we were meant to do a few years back, but never got round to doing. So I'm going to start off with what is, in my opinion, one of the greatest models that Warlord Games have ever made for bolt action, and it is this. This is the Australian medic with the Papuan assistants. Just a stupendously fun model, full of character, really full of character, and just a great piece to paint. And even now, just reworking it, it was a lot of fun. To work on it, to get a better basing, more pronounced highlights, make it a bit brighter. But just look at it; it's a fantastic kit, and one that I always just enjoy just looking at it. When I bought my bolt action Australians, I bought 90% of them in one day at the Warlord Games store in Nottingham. It was not long after they'd released most of the range, and I went in and just said basically, yes, take my money, and I walked out with most of the range. The only thing I haven't got is the Australian Bofors gun, but I will pick that up one day. But there we go, that's my favourite one, the medic. Just such a such a good model, and I'm glad that it's been given a new lease of life with this ongoing project. So you can go over there. Up next is a bit of artillery with this. This is a 25 pound, a light 25 pounder. So the gun shield removed. Again, bit of weight on this. All this. The Australians is a full metal army. Or the entire range is metal. Unlike me, I'm not a fan of metal miniatures, but these are really good. So on to the short 25 pounder. Like the rest of the range, they've just been given, you know, sharper, crisper highlights. I've sorted the flesh out on these guys. There wasn't much of the flesh was all over the place on these. It was just so inconsistent. They didn't. I like my army to have some kind of form and consistency, and these really didn't. So I'll fix these now. But yeah, really chuffed with that. Again, better basing with the ubiquitous supermarket mixed herbs for jungle basing. The single greatest basing material known to man. Well, known to me anyway. And my better half is often incredulous when there's none to cook with, because I've stuck them all to wargaming bases. That's a different story altogether. But I just think it gives, combined with the tufts, it just gives it a better jungle floor look. Previously I wasn't really happy that it looked very jungle-esque, but I think with the application of some new brighter tufts, it's really given it that, to quote Stevie Wonder, it's given it that jungle fever. Just really looks the part. So that's a short 25 pounder. Up next, a couple of support options. So let's go with this first. Now this is the, again, medium mortar team. Come to focus. There we go. Again, really good poses on these chaps. Really evocative. And quite simple to paint as well. That's one thing I liked about these, is the uniform was relatively simple to work through. So when I'm going back and redoing the highlights, it's not time consuming. But it's certainly getting this army to where I want it to be originally. And I'm very happy with how it's looking at the moment. I'm about a third of the way through. I've got 2/3 left to do. This is the medium mortar team. Good mix of, you know, tin helmets and slouch hats. Better basing. I've got a spotter for this piece yet to be painted, and he's also a requisite and chinned it. But I've made him look Australian. So that is the medium mortar team. Up next, again, I mentioned it in the previous section, I'm not really a fan of medium machine guns in game, but I do like painting them. I do like modelling them, and again, this one's got a really nice look to it. Got a chap binoculars, and the guy letting forth with the Vickers, and the better basing as well. I think once this is all fully, you know, spruced up, and everyone's got consistent basing and consistent paint schemes and consistent flesh, it's going to look a really nice army. I'm going to be sure to take it to the jungles to fight against my friends, Imperial Japanese, which is the main reason I bought it in the first place. I've only ever used it in one game. Featured early in the channel, on the channel, so you want to go and look back on the battle report. There is a very short battle report involving these chaps, and a lot of mud. From what I can remember, there was mud featured heavily in that battle report. So that's the medium machine gun team, and I've got a couple of infantry options that I've worked on as well. So let's start off with these. Very unique looking, these guys. So these are scouts. They look a bit gnarly, don't they? Vests and camouflage, and Owen's submachine guns. So again, these just needed a bit of a touch up to make them more consistent with the rest of the army. So brighter highlights, and then the flesh was given a more consistent tone across the entire force. These are great at infiltrating. I don't think I actually used them in a battle report, but yeah, they infiltrate. I just think that there's something gnarly and badass about them. Which again, across the whole Australian range by Warlord, lots of character, really full of character. And the last thing is my favourite weapon in games of bolt action, the flamethrower, because it just is. Now this is, I can either use this as a standalone flamethrower or incorporate it into a an engineer section, which is what I often do. Or it's what I initially planned to do. I think I've always had it in the engineer section, but I can run it as an individual flamethrower team. So there we go, that's what I've been up to, bolt action wise. Again, there hasn't been a lot of bolt action content on the channel for, like I say, 6-7 months now. But I intend to remedy that over the next well, foreseeable future. I've got lots of things planned. I've got a new army on the go at the moment. I've also been very kindly sent some figures by the awesome May 40 Miniatures from Holland. I'm going to be doing a review video of their range. Some established ones, some that haven't been released yet, and some from their KNIL Kickstarter, which has been very successful. I think it's been fully funded. But yeah, I've been sent a few of the miniatures to have a review. I'm going to paint them and show you what they're like in an upcoming video. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. It's good to be getting back to some bolt action on the channel. Like I say, it's been a while, and bolt action was pretty much what I built my channel around back in the early days. So it's be good getting back to my roots. If you've got any comments or questions about this video or bolt action or gaming in general, just leave them in the comments down below and I'll certainly respond to all comments and questions. But as always, thanks for watching, do take care, may your dice roll well, and I'll catch you all in the next video. So bye bye for now.